Morning, everybody. Um, I just woke up, but I was sleeping. A dream of your guys' tendencies, big team. Dreamt about Nepal. Interesting to see what you guys did in my head compared to what you guys do, real life. Helped shed some more light on things I might want to touch upon. Um, so this is a VOD review, upon request. Uh, Generally, I wanted to make one, and I asked what to do, and Pog provided me something pretty good between Helios and Nepal. Let's see. So, yeah, I said in Coaching Corner, I'm compelled to do an analysis video on Scrim tonight or something like that. Is there any map or comp in specific you'd like me to go over? And Pog said maybe Helios and Nepal. That way we get analysis on how good we played on Ilios versus some bad play on Nepal. Just my thoughts though. And I said, we'll do. So sure. We had some had some fun not problems that we ran into, but fun situations that were created for us by the running Widow and Mercy very also didn't really have a very strong decision on what comp we wanted to run here. Let's see. And for borderless windows, thing very poorly, I must say. It's good. Now we can. Okay. So, enemy was very, very, very big on their little. Let's look at this guy. Yeah, the enemy was very big on all tracers Zen. Oh, I can do that. Good and black. When we're playing into this enemy, likes to run this sort of all tracers in ball. These four are very, very big constants tonight. Um, I think in this comp, the Mercy is especially weak. So Zenyatta is especially. That guy is he's relying on basically they're relying like almost fully offensively uh to get any sort of value. I think otherwise this Zenyatta has to position super super safe if he's getting camped. Um, in my mind, how you play against this sort of thing is running either this comp of our own, like a super mobile ball tracer Zen comp or something like that, or running a double bubble and sort of using Sigma as a fence, so to speak, um, to get to Zen or Mercy. I don't think in this scrim that we were particularly keen on ignoring. Like, I think something we have to recognize is that we can a lot of the time ignore sort of heroes. It's like the old pharmacy problem where you can choose to ignore Farah if you really want. I think that's fine. Oh, my wait, never. Yeah. Um, you can choose to ignore a pharmacy, the two in the air to get the four on the floor. You're running like a full brawl comp that revolves on the floor or something like that. Um, so a little bit in the same vein, we can sort of start to ignore Echo by either positioning differently or simply not giving her the time of day and relegating one of our team members to lock her down. And size. In any case, so yeah, when we're looking at their comp. I think that's some important things to. Zenyatta is going to be the weakest part. Mercy, I think, is going to be second weakest. We really have to care Echo, and we have to very forehead, but possibly ignore ball. These two, these guys are just going to sort of exist to provide additional pressure. But I don't think it's anything special compared to what Echo and Z are going to be doing all the time. So for us, we're running pretty straightforward double bubble. We are running a Lucio variant frequently, or my personal favorite sort of thing with this comp is running a Brig because of just how much brawl pressure we have. But yeah, basically our Winston can probably go out, get some pressure. So our Winston is usually the first to engage. Then our Zarya can possibly be the second, alongside our other friend. Well, we won't say the second. I think Tracer can also be first or second. Well, Zarya can be third, alongside Lucio. And then our sort of backline, quote unquote, doesn't need to be particularly in as much as these guys. But double bubble is a Winston, it's a Zarya, it's a Tracer. So we want to, if we're not sort of quote unquote diving, I think diving is a slightly potentially inaccurate term for everybody. Winston is diving, but Zarya is engaging, and so is Tracer. Let's see how we sort of play this here. I think in this composition we will never kill the ball, more than likely, so we have to work around him. Much in the same way, we can never really kill the Sig very, very accessibly, so we have to sort of ignore them and go for the backline. What sort of problem does that create? Well, you probably expect our own backline to run into some trouble from those two tanks and the Echo, as our tanks try and find value elsewhere. So, for that case, our backline is sort of going to, let me try my little tab trick. Glad that worked. Very nice. Yes, so our McCree is going to be looking for Echo. And you know what, maybe our Ana too. I think something else that is important is locking down the Echo if our tank line is going to ignore them. It means us backliners have to sort of keep her in pressure. And just like a normal Pharmacy duo, just with Echo, obviously Echo seems a little squishier than Pharah in my mind, despite the fact that they have the same amount of health. Yeah. I think it's important to focus whoever is hanging themselves more. In general, focusing the Mercy is also a fine option. So yeah, in general, what we want to do to break their comp is walk past Sigma, avoid McCree, ignore Ball, and focus on these squishies. Let's see how we do that. Start to mount an attack on the left side, but Splat's taking a lot of poke. We get knocked off instantaneously, which is not my favorite approach. I like the part where we tried to stage left side, but something I think that we have to consider is that no matter how mobile we may be, even with a Lucio, they will more than likely be quite mobile on the ball, and the Echo Mercy, half of their team is going to be extremely hard to punish, one because they're ball, and two because they're pocketed. So when we're going for these dives, we have to make them from a little bit more informed locations so that we're not feeding into all of them like we're doing there. Here, we didn't even get to make a dive, we were staging, and then we got knocked off by a ball, which kind of stinks. think something we can do to circumvent this is perhaps running a Brig, because they're not running a Zarya or anything to stop CC. Um, in this map, I don't think the Lucio found as much value as he wanted him to. Yep, they're just poking. This is many of you are cat owners. I think this is a quintessential sign of trust. At least for me when I'm on the Zen, is taking this position here. Because this position here is one of the... It's already a little early to do so, and this position is assuming a lot of things. Assuming that you won't get sniped from here, or top right, or from the right side of main, or even from left. So, not amazing vision, he's not letting his tanks look out for him, but he's just trying to fire on additional people who are main. And this, you can only really take this position as Zen if no one can get to you. He knows this already, so he's going to take it. And unfortunately, he's not wrong. We are going to have a tough time sort of engaging. But if we're taking engagements aggressively and actually going for dives and stuff like that, I know it's going to be hard for our Zarya, for example, to reach, but thankfully we have a Lucio to sort of assist with that. All we need at the bare minimum is I'm so used to that. All we need is for Winston and Tracer to get consistent engages on this composition. So again, Winston and Tracer can be the first or second to sort of engage. And as long as they're getting engagements off, we're providing supplemental pressure that's sort of creating a little bit of a mid-fight. Because again, the goal of our composition here, and how I personally think we might be most effective, is trying to look for their Zen and be aggressive. We can, like, Zen I think is our first priority, then Mercy is our second, McCree, or in terms of like priority, how important I think they are to kill when we're sort of diving, I'll give it this order. So 1 being the greatest importance when we dive, and 6 being of the least. We will probably never dive ball. I've never heard of a ball being dove in my life, and hopefully I don't have to. Let's see. So yeah, ultimately we're creating a mid-fight when we get an engagement on from our Winston and Tracer. We can either again, in this mid-fight, their Echo is going to try and turn things because she's annoying. And really powerful with the boosted Echo. So we've got to be locking her down, so go duty. And then these guys will be third, essentially fourth to engage if we're not in a perfect way. So yes, we're sort of getting held a little early. I am not a big fan of it myself. Sort of just playing a little split here. So they're going under, so up. This fight is getting a little more disorganized. I'll take it from this. Little disorganized is our fight. And while we haven't quite reached the Zen yet, which kind of stinks. Adaptive circuits engaged. Create an engagement where we are engaging. Fortunately, you can see that this may be really the best time for a dive, especially if it's just going to be under the front line because we're doing it in front of the Kree and the Sigma. As well, our Tracer is engaging the monkey in the back, not quite one of our dive targets, which is okay because I don't think a dive is really feasible in this scenario unless we nano. Fortunately, we couldn't nano as fast enough as I would have liked to onto the onto the tanks. We just need a little bit quicker decision making on that, but that's alright. Just sort of gauging the fights and taking the fights properly on a double bubble comp where we're trying to consciously make engages between like pretty much just these three. I think it is our first step, and then we can sort of learn the nuance of it. This is an abhorrent position. I think they want to punish you with Echo, but if we send more than one person up there, it might be very difficult. At this point, we haven't really been able to capitalize off of the Lucio speed yet, because we're not particularly used to calling a lot of stuff in mid-fight yet to take advantage of it properly. We do have a beat, have Nano. So we choose a Nano Winston here. I think that's a nice little engage. So Zen didn't want his McCree to die, that's too bad. We got knocked off left side here, so maybe we shouldn't path along the loopable paths anymore. And that's very forehead of me to say, but if you run the risk of getting booped like that every time from here, if it's going to become a pattern, I really recommend that we just go main instead. Even if the team says, okay, we go left, obviously you can go main with respect to the fact that they have an echo, but wherever you path, don't path out here, where you're going to get knocked off. We have a pulse bomb. This is still winnable. So not bad. Winston's applying pressure on the supports. Yes. A nice little creel. Now tanks. He sort of went bowling. It was a strike. Actually, no. It was, well, there's still some left. Ball misses horrendously. Good. Ball is being ball, which sort of stinks. We get McCree. The target calling here was pretty good. It was better than usual. But not quite fast enough in my eyes. Obviously, we'll work towards that. For me and stuff like that as a support player, and like, it's understandable why this isn't the case. I want to set you guys up as best as we can, running comps that'll get us into good habits and stuff like that. It's hard to do, especially in this meta where tanks are quite Echo Mercy is quite blech, and tanks are them. So yeah, one sort of nitpick here is that we're not like, I feel like we're not like always looking for the echo. And that's something I feel like people sort of sleep on a little bit, is how closely you should be watching somebody in order to get them done. Cursor. Okay. So I think it's like legitimately extremely it's just like playing like scrimming into teams with stupid like widow carries or something like that. The only thing that I think really matters is where the widow is. It's not as much in question whether or not she's gonna hit her shots. At this rank it is, thankfully, but the question is just where she is. And in much a similar vein, I think it's really key for us to always be watching the echo. I think this duty falls mostly on Bruce and Pog, but whatchamacallit, or just on our McCree and our Ana, as they're the only ones who are able to apply some of the most damage to her. When she falls down from flight, I think, well, Tracer is obviously a very strong pick into sort of just chunking down Echo. The hitboxes on her wings are huge, and Tracer just eats that up. But besides that, like, That's their problem, and they should be watching for it very, very, very constantly. Like, I'm saying very constantly because like we should legitimately not feel confident going almost anywhere in a fight without knowing where she is. Like without having checked. We sort of engage onto her solo. Again, that's a DPS sort of thing. Um, the tank's duty in this comp is going to be creating engagements towards the backline or just providing large amounts of pressure. I'm harping on the dive because unfortunately we haven't had a 6 to fight for quite a bit. That's a big part. This is a huge stick. Get them out of echo form. They're already down 2. Yep, we get up. Zen's right side, very, very vulnerable. Zen tends to hang himself a lot in these fights, but because we're get sort of flustered by all the damage that we're taking, we can't punish it properly, which makes perfect sense. Still have beat. Let's see. So, beating into this comp, like what is there really to beat, right? I think we just beat for sustain. This is a composition where there is not really any particular thing to beat. Like, you get caught out with high noon, you're probably just dead. Flux is beatable, but I don't really. So many of us are so mobile that it's really hard to say who he'd get with Flux, provided we're positioning well. We went for a little bit of an aggressive grab here. We said we were going to grab when they engaged, but then we started walking forwards on them and things didn't quite go as planned. Dive sort of obligatorily, and we get burned with Discord because that's just what happens. Yeah, in that situation, I don't think you really have to honor the dive. If something like that happens, like don't try and force value out of the situation by sacrificing your own life. I think the better thing to do is reposition and get for your next play. Like the main thing to do is just shake it off and come up with your plan B, or just execute your plan B, I should say. Coming up with it is really a pre-fight duty. Yeah. Still holding on to beat. I think that might have been a really good time to beat, frankly, back here when our Winston engaged. This would have been a fantastic time to beat, to keep everybody alive and actually win this fight. You can see they're sort of on the back foot, and they don't have a particularly strong position here. Again, like, this is very, very beatable in my mind. But instead, we sort of Winston dies and things happen. It's happening. It's happening. Fortunately, not much to do there. Well, I think maybe I shouldn't have done this for the whole map series, but I wanted to see where we played well. And well, well, I suppose where we played good. It's properly to say well, but well refers to the map in this context. Yeah, I think I'm gonna see where we played well. I think this was a map that we played a little well. The next one was played a little better than the first one. In this map especially, we can't bank on Lucio boops, and it's unfortunate, which is why I really, really harped on the brig here. If they're just going to keep running the ball, there's no reason we shouldn't punish him. The group heals that we can get off of him as he tries to boop us out of position is just fantastic, really. What more can you say? It's giving us a lot of free ult charge. Or not even just a lot of free ult charge, a lot of Inspire, which is really great group healing for our team that would be beneficial for us anyway. So we called to run this Orisa Hog, and we called to go right side in playing by Cage. I meant inside of Cage. That's a very strong position into these double aerial people potentially. You have a lot of punish options there. Die early on the brig here. Like, there's nothing we can do about the people in the air here if we're Brig. All we have to do in this comp is watch out for Ball and those who get close. Like, we're pretty much just the tank. We just make the tanks unconfident. Because if Sig gets too close, we walk on him with the cleave, and if Ball gets too close, we can stun him and farm Inspire and stuff like that, and just generally CC him. They don't have very strong healing, so we can sort of out sustain them quite a bit potentially. Yes, we are playing sort of out in the open into the double aerial comp. The pharmacy is just beaming us down. These guys love the echo and Discord. Frankly, this is quite a weak comp in my opinion. It doesn't take much to beat this in my mind besides a couple of decent hit scan, or if we don't want to go that route, we can go like one hit scan and a very mobile floor. I was apprehensive about the double shield comp because it forces us to pigeonhole and go in one area. This is good for applying pressure onto the Sigma, but the Sigma is naturally very resistant and self-sustaining, so it's not like the damage is going to make him want to do anything in particular. In fact, he doesn't have to do much in particular to avoid things. So unless we're going to find a pick in the sky, the double shield comp is sort of a nebulous pick in my mind, but I enjoy the experimentation that we did with it. Sort of start going right side in cage. It's pretty okay. Echo just doesn't give up her position and dies for it. Smile. Let's see. And then we can really start making things happen. So, it's a lot of things there. We're all sort of swinging wide here. I think the best, one of the best positions that you can be in Hog isn't over here where you can get booped off so easily. I'd like to see you play around here, and you can even pressuring on the flank isn't super viable. I mean, you can spawn camp Echo if she gives you the chance, but generally playing along this wall might be good, so you can take some aggro from your team. That way they're not super focusing on your front line and your back line, or the core, I suppose, in this comp, can get things done. This is a funny little kill. I like the whip shot onto the Pharah, and the follow-up snipe that we got off of it. We have Nano. Ana isn't the strongest healer with this comp. Again, we really would prefer a BAP to open up a window on them and enable our hit scan, but things happen, right? Ball is just drooling at the idea of booping people into the pit. I don't... Okay, it's the copy. Good. I'm going to say. That's unlucky. One thing I'll say as well is, when it comes to positioning as well, Ana does not need to be near the well, like, almost whatsoever. Like, there's almost never a situation in which Ana will cross this well besides if her team is holding super far up, which is potentially ill-advised, but if you can make it work, go ahead. I think if you're Ana, a place you might want to stay is towards Mini or deep in cage or something like that. Like, there are many spots to stand where you can sort of tight pressure just by being far away enough. I don't think being out in the open by the well is one of them. So really, that's something I noticed from both of our Anas. They can get a little bit more respectful of space. Oh, that looks like a lag moment, but lucky. Yeah, no matter what, if I'm on in this comp, I'm probably rotating around inside of this spot. Playing this space is pretty hard because the only real time you can LOS someone in the air is if it's probably too late. Being over here, you can get zoned off by them or singled out really easily, and it's not easy to escape them because this window has a lot of sight if you're getting peeked from it. Ultimately, for the Ana, I think the best thing is staying in cage. If we were BAP, we would be able to stay up here, which is a really nice spot. And we would be able to exist in cage a lot more carelessly. So, rally when things start to get a little hairy, when an engagement is made. This is a very, very, very poor barrage. I don't feel like that needs to be harped on any more than it was. Kill both of the aerial units, very nice. Ball lays eggs. And we're sort of getting some mixed ideas here. So, I like the idea. Rally makes us want to move forward. Rally makes us want to brawl. But who in this double shield comp will move forward, right? That's a good question. If I had to delegate any two people who would want to move forward more than the rest, it would probably be our Brig and our Hog. And maybe Kree. He'd sort of soft move up. So these three want to sort of move forward on them. We have rally, we have armor. We were playing over here, we were towards our Orisa on the Hog. I think the easier thing, or just the better thing to do, is sort of ignore ball unless we can completely CC him. Unless he tries to roll through all of us, I don't think ever focusing the ball is a better option than going and actually pushing their front line. We do have point control here, but I'd really rather get these two out of the way, the Sig and the Zen. So no matter what, we need to push. Our Brig can path. Our Kree can join us path. But no matter what, we actually have to push here. Our Brig feels the inclination to push alone. Nice rock. Little whip shot, but he's already taken so much damage. Splat pushes up out of courtesy here. But we still die to the Zen. Sort of what I'm afraid of. We put a very, very aggro shield up. We get burned. Like, ultimately, in this situation, for future reference, Hog and Brig and Kree will probably push up. The rest of us don't have to, so, like, don't sacrifice your position out of courtesy to honor somebody doing something. If my Brig is pushing and she ends up, like, sort of soft feeding because nobody pushed up with her, that's not our problem on the Orisa. We don't need to go over here and sort of honor that. We just need to exist from a position where we can survive and keep the fight going, you know? Others might disagree, but there's nothing that I just don't think there's much we can do that's not that. Ask if the fight is winnable, they'd say yes with a Nano Hog. So, with the Nano Hog, all we need to do is not step off point. Really, like, what's their ball gonna do, right? Like, you'd have to really, really get position to boop us anywhere, or to boop us into the hole or something like that. So as long as we keep on point with a Nano Hog, we would have been good. Like, we just have to think who pressures us on the ground, which is just going to be Sig and Zen. Possibly Tracer, even though she's engaged on the right side. No matter almost what positioning we take, these are probably going to be the the two people who are able to pressure us well enough from the ground. Paul is not poking as much as he needs to be. This is sort of a position. Thankfully we get out. Ball. Okay. Asking win again. A nice flank here. Beat the flanker and now exerts heavy pressure from right side, enough for us to retake pretty safely. Again, all we need to do is not sacrifice our position or our positioning for anything too greedy or something like that. Let the heroes with better self-sustain do that, like the Hog and the Brig. So, we're really far forward on the Ana as well. I understand why that might be the case, because of the Echo and the Mercy. But I'm not a big fan of where we sort of end up positioning a lot of the time. Like up here it's tough, and I don't want to be here. Like I would have to move up here at some point myself if I were playing on in this comp. The only question is really like why? Do we really want to be taking engagements so far out here and stuff like that? Force a trance. Now we just have to back up, or we can continue forcing the fight here with a rally. I liked that. That one was really, really, really good. I like that one a lot. We still have Nano to continue brawling, so Mercy walks into Pulse Bomb, which is I don't really know what's more sad there. And I think Sig has to go first because he's annoying. Screw the DPS for right now. They're not engaging you guys. We can just burn Sig and get him off the table because he's gonna sustain for a really long time if we don't. Yeah, like when it comes to mid fights and stuff like this, like, and oh, that was unfortunate. The target focus, like there's a lot to be learned so far, or a lot to be felt. I don't think it's so much learning as it is recognizing sort of opportunities and stuff like that. They're close as well. For our last engagement, it's just too hard to retake. Now they ran a Diva, which is a lot of a better pick for an off tank, I think, than into this comp than Sigma was. It's because Diva can enable them to dive like so much harder. Like if they actually take a nice coordinated dive, I don't think they lose very easily. Yeah, generally a lot of this is just boiling down to target focus, and specifically just individual decision making. Like sure, you know. I think this is one that we played well as well. I say that as if I don't agree. Clarify, I think we did. So this is sort of weird, already, and why I think that is, again we see the Echo Mercy Zen, which is quite a shocker, and when that's the case, we want to operate from somewhere that preferably has cover from them. Good area I can think of is Cage. Funny enough, that's how they do like interior stuff, like wavy sort of shark fin shape, super round. So we start off the map by rotating towards point, which doesn't exactly make a lot of sense because not only are we very much in the open, but point hasn't unlocked. And I think when we got there we realized it. But they're engaging top. There's no reason not really to play together on this comp so far. Something that also is the case is that we elected for the Lucio and not the Ana, and we're running the Brig still, which means we are going to have to make this work, we are going to need to like int. We have a little bit of sustain for a lot of engages, but or we just have sustain heals, but it's just tough. So you got to think about what the Lucio provides us here and how we could play him. That was a nice little boop to set things up. Go on the Diva here. Doomfist is going to be really annoying, but we can deal with him if we save our cooldowns. Good, good, good. Panda's already on point. Fantastic. And yeah, now there's a lot of pressure on Bruce to be able to work with both the Doomfist and the Echo Mercy. They're going to pressure him. So one thing we either need to do again is like, because we have so much less sustain, it becomes less of sort of like a sort of rushy sort of comp with the Winston. Like, and it has to be sort of like played as like an int dive. Like this guy's gotta go. or her or anyone, but someone's got to die, and we have to coordinate to do it. Because if not, then we run the risk of picking fights like we end up, where we just get picked. Like Winston sort of existing as if we're playing like Reinhardt and stuff like that, and it's tough. I get it. Let's focus on the Mercy. Fortunately, not much we could do there. They're spending a lot of ults just to get point, which is pretty nice. But yeah, I don't think this comp is particularly strong. It could be if we were really min-maxy with our engages, like farming a lot of charge on the Zarya before we get ready to do anything. Only saving boost or speed for when we can confirm a target, or for when we all dive a target, which is essentially confirming. And not dying to Doomfist. I think those are all really key parts of the equation. Hey, look, their team is so focused with being forward and aggro that they could do nothing to protect this chump. I think that's very sad. We have some mixed ideas about where to go here. Bruce is sort of trapped. Pog goes to save him, which I think is very kind. Sort of turned the fight over here, but step off point, and now the majority of them are over here, which I think is kind of very typical of their comp to move so quickly. I think we need to beat this on point to stay alive, but we don't have. He holds beat a little bit, and again, it's like, what do we beat in this comp? Good question. They're running pretty much things that are very difficult to sort of beat. The most clear-cut situation I can think is if they copy Zarya and grab us, and then you might beat there. But even then, that's not the strongest application. I think beating to sustain the fight, to keep everybody alive for just a bit of time, just to give us more time to operate, is really key. No matter what, I think that's the foremost duty of Lucio in this comp, is to give us more time and reduce the amount of time that the enemy has to do anything. It's just tough to run here. It's tough to run. Excuse me, skipped a little too far. Winston is just taking poke up top. Very weak heals. This is very chaseable. And we're forcing trance there. Got close. Dive tanks up top. Gotta love that rally. That rally armor. Sexy from Doomfist. We drop, which was a fantastic call. Find 2 on point, which is really cool. I want to see how this happened again, because my attention was focused rightly on the left side. Look at that. Find them, and see how easy that was? We don't have any supports. Unfortunately, we have to deal with the Doomfist and the Echo. So, these guys we just have to sort of bunker out a little bit. Let them come to us, which is what they did. They came at us one by one, frankly. So, there's that. And yeah, notice how when we played from cover in a nice controlled spot, we were able to pinpoint their healers. First of all, we were just able to circumvent their Echo. Second of all, we were able to dive the healers and actually get stuff done onto them, which was fantastic. I feel like that's what we've been waiting all game for. And third, when we have the DPS come to us, a lot easier to sort of manage. But this is a very obnoxious comp, I will admit, from them. But obnoxious, but far from impossible to beat. I think even if we are going to run such weak heals, like an option for us is really running a Mercy to boost the McCree into these comps. To boost the Kree, to potentially sustain with the Zarya or something like that. It's an option. It might be better than Lucio. I think we find more value with Beat in this comp. We're so powerful, but we hold for so long that it's almost equivalent. A huge grab in there. fight is very winnable. Unlucky. And again, this is sort of like, this is like, it isn't a mid-fight out here. It is a mid-fight in a very, very, very enclosed space and a very tight space. And for that reason, analysis of it is sort of difficult. I mean, we can really get out in the weeds with it, but I just think we had opportunities to kill environmentally and just to focus fire. We didn't have a lot of pieces to do that with. Yeah, we don't have enough healing to keep the Zarya. That's one thing that's clear. And then Zen gets high ground, so it's essentially GG's, because Discord. That's how we die. Unlucky. Overall, I think it was just sort of more having to do with knowing the identity of our comp and the function of what we want to do a lot of the time. Before it is a lot of other things. And when we did get dives off and stuff like that, and we could create fights, things were well. Yeah, that was the map we played well. And this is the map that played a little less well, potentially. I'm trying not to mince my words. Sometimes I can be too kind, and that can play negatively. So, running the Moira, running the Lucio, and the Kree and the Reaper. Had a good bit of damage on them initially, I think is fine. Ryan has signed a contract that he no longer wants to live. This is a very expensive position. And he will need bubble or something to get him out. You have to be aware that that's a very aggressive, and the team can leverage that if we try to all malice him very quickly. Yeah. Get them, they all sort of pigeonhole, and we can chase. I'd have to look for amp usage there. I think that's like an amp sort of thing. What I mean isn't being or not being able to charge them as quickly as I would have liked. So we all go and we drop for point. I think that's one thing that needs to not happen. Because like, where would we rather fight this team? Like, the only difference between the two of us is that they have a mate and we have a Reaper. So they are looking for wall value. They're looking to capitalize on a lot of things. I think holding up is pretty decent, as long as we recognize that we can drop left side from the wall and sort of escape back to the safety of our team. I think taking fights in more open space is better for us, because when it comes to closed space like this, Mei can really do a number on us with a good, or with a well enough placed wall. I don't think the same can be said as much outside. So we have a better chance of fighting them outside. We can rush them down faster because we have Reaper. Just have to be aware of their tendencies, and Mei's ultimate, if she gets it out here, is much worse in an open space than it is in an enclosed space. So, just map control wise, we should be taking fights outside in my opinion. Just how it happens. Clovis lagged, again, unlucky. And now we sort of have to take the fight from point. We've accepted that they're coming, and well, that's really it, huh? To their comp, we have to expect this. It's unlucky because it just happens, and that's what's going to happen when they're running a creep. Then, yeah. I feel like mid-fight, like backline, like I'm harping a lot on support play because I'm a support main, but we could do a better job of highlighting threats. As soon as McCree is coming over, we like have to call McCree back, right? Because people have to be able to help us sooner. Like, even if they make the conscious decision not to help us, they at least they know, right? Like, I think that's really key. Go top again, which is good. I like that. This is where things get annoying because they switch ball, which is it would be one thing if it was like a sleeper pick in this composition, but I think Ball is objectively bad here. We're gonna maybe have some trouble killing him, maybe, if like not all six of us are looking at him and our Zarya's low energy. But I don't think Ball gains value in a lot of situations here. I think he's really quite poor. Uh, Thing is, we let him be good by letting him do things like this. And obviously, this is the first instance that we've seen of him, so it happens. But yeah, already has quite a bit of ult charge. Say we're gonna shatter here. We're getting cooped up in a room. Again, Mei's ult in enclosed space is a killer. But they beat, I guess that's okay. And they beat We Blossom. That's alright. An okay trade, I guess. I mean, next fight we just have to know that we're going into a coalescence and that we can grab, and maybe things will be okay. So yeah, I feel like we could be a lot more diligent in watching the flank, and in just watching the people who are annoying. I think we really have to be more thorough in watching them. The fact that they set up so frequently the same way. Oh, that guy almost died. So unlucky. So they halt us main. I think that's pretty cool. Then they wall us main, which is pretty uncool. Then they waste Shatter on 3. I don't think there's a world in which they don't win that, so whatever, I guess. Somebody's playing this position for what feels like the 8th time. This I remember. Okay, we finally get a decent engage off, and it's going to be stifled by Maywall. So as soon as... So they're using... this is really bad from them. They're using 2 sort of zoning ultimates, like Mines and Mei's ults, in the same space. And when we hear even one of these, like I think Mei's more so than Ball's, but when we hear even one of these 2 ultimates, we have to make the decision whether we are going to move forward or whether we are going to move back. And I think that was something that would have made this decision a lot easier. We beat it and then immediately walked into the ice, which sacrificed both of our supports. And he just sort of died. So maybe what I could do is like watch this from a support point of view and see what might have been better. So culling from here, pretty standard, makes a lot of sense. It's pretty far out here, so I think like whatever, right? Like we're already beating, so our coalescence isn't going to be as impactful. We aren't obligated to stay in the ice as much as we would be if beat didn't come out. So this is actually a fantastic beat. Now we can sort of engage or create a counter engagement. But instead we sort of choose to stay here on the tank line. So unlucky, and then both of our supports end up dying over here, and then unlucky. Not much we can do there. I believe that's the map. So mostly just a lot of team decision making. I feel like we need to study a little bit more of situations that we can engage and that we can't. And something I would rather see is initial confidence rather than some skepticism. Like we need to get in there, and even if we're inting, just like dive. Like even if we think we're inting, let's find out, right? Then we can have some VOD review material. But this is sort of iffy for me as a coach because it's like, like there's not really a huge like we're a roster of new players, so it's going to take some time to synergize with each other. But in the meantime, like our comms aren't indicative that we are really on the same page, which I think is the biggest factor.
Ready for battle. Ready for battle.
Here we go. And that's kind of bad.
Round 2. Capture the objective.
In TP, we go Reaps. Same comp. They are running the Ball Tracer Zen comp here, which is pretty cool. And why I say pretty cool is that I think all we need to do is run over Sigma, and then we have access to Zen. We run over Sigma, then we get Zen, and then we can get any one of these three. We just have to do it quickly, right? The speed of the engagement is what's extremely key here. Fast enough, playing fast enough so that we aren't devaluing, you know, that we aren't just doing nothing. So I think these two have to be our primary targets as like a Reinhardt, like the people we want to kill because they're annoying, and not just because they're annoying, because this guy amps damage, and there's a meta that revolves around him amping damage for his teammates Tracer and Boosted Echo. It's just how it is. He's gotta go. So I think getting him off of the field as soon as we can is fantastic. Um, and in the events that we do have to play it slower, like when we get all booped by ball, I mean, I'd really prefer that we just don't get all booped by ball, like, at all. We can avoid that with positioning or just dodging or using CC. Um, like, I think using Lucio boop is quite acceptable there to stop the ball. At least somewhat. Um, but yeah, now look at how we're playing. So they're approaching from all sorts of angles, right? So we're all grouped up and they have 3 angles on us. The Zen is alone main. We can kill him very quickly if we walk at him with shield and the people behind the shield focus him. We can even kill the Sigma very quickly. We can walk at him with shield, maybe facing this way or something to keep everybody safe from that angle. And yeah, like we have the healing to sustain that sort of push. But we're sort of allowing the ball to find value by walking into him repeatedly. Like, I don't like to see this. So we call to go on the Sig. That's fantastic. Look how easy that was. Okay. Now, it's brawl fundamentals at this point. What do we want to do? Do we want to keep going in which we get booped off again, and then if we don't have shield, we get poked by Zen? Or do we want to play patient and just take point? I think I'd go with the latter. There's no reason to elongate this engagement. If they don't want any more ult charge, we don't have to give it to them. Nice job focusing here. Mercy reses, whatever, it's more ult charge for us. There's no reason to panic here. Like, we already have point control. I think retaking for them is going to be very hard unless they do a coordinated dive, which can be tough if we are constantly applying a lot of pressure. If we're just possibly killing Sig. Like, that's really a lot aggressive. I think we need to boop in and not out. Let's back. We have Cole. I mean, who do we burn with Cole? We can target aerial targets. We will probably never get Tracer or Ball with Cole. Really, anybody who's not Tracer or Ball can die to Cole, but I think it's most important, again, to focus some of the people who matter on this team the most, which is the Sig and the Zen, in terms of being sort of a thorn in our side. Because I think in my mind with this comp, we have we have aerial pressure from the Echo Mercy. We have flanking from the Tracer. We have flanking and just general weird positional play from the Ball. The only 2 people who iron this out and function as like real pushers in my mind, as opposed to people who want to secure kills, are the Ball through the displacement value, but these 2, the Zen and the Sigma. And because these guys are the only ones who want to play by our sort of brawly rules in which we're looking at each other, we're taking a conscious engagement. Screw them. There's 6 of us who want to do that. There's 2 of them who want to do that. So that's a key thing to remember. Like, we don't have to be so shy here. Like, we're not even down 1, but we can speed and engage. Like, our Zarya has the idea that they want to engage here, but they get punished for it because we're standing around looking at Tracer. We know they're gonna dive us, right? That's just the contract of playing against this comp. Echo's gonna go and she's gonna get her stupid beam and things are gonna happen and stuff like that. Tracer's gonna dive, like, whatever. It doesn't matter what they're gonna do because we know what they're gonna do half the time, right? All we need to do is not die in pre-fight and kill these 2. I think. For starters, like at a fundamental level, those 2 have got to go. But instead, we're letting them set the tempo. It's a great time to call. That would have been a great time to call. Unlucky. So yeah, we are standing around. And passivity just makes it easier for them to dive us. We're legitimately giving them more units to dive us with, or to just pressure us with. It doesn't need to be this way. We can get the Sig Zen. But we'll see how we approach that. I'll Tracer bottom right this fight, and then we plane. Still, that's what I mean by planing. We sort of just keep existing around the same area, like hovering here, and then I go up here, but then I move back here, and then I go back here. My confidence is reinstilled, I go back here. Point is, same area. We plane here because we call Tracer bottom right, and we spot her, but the rest of the team is really concerned with what... So there was speed, and there's Cole, and we just now step onto point. Lose 1 already, and there are a lot of people from a lot of angles. Now we're all cooped up. Should be GG's. I feel like you have to look at it from their 6 point of view a lot of time too.
What is this power?
This guy like legitimately only exists consistently, I think, because we're not willing to get onto him. Like, obviously we're not running the most resistant thing into their Tracer and their Echo and their Ball, because we don't have a lot of CC. But one thing we do have is a lot of kill pressure. Between our Zarya, our Kree, our Reaper especially, and our Lucio to help us secure, like, I don't think there's much of a reason why we shouldn't be finding kills when we go for them. And you saw from the team fight that ended up happening out here even, is that we can secure kills, and we can do it when we go for them. When we're not letting them set the tempo. We need to be aggressive, we need to go on someone here. And we individually, like as a tank line and as DPS, need to recognize that. Like even as support, as everybody we need to recognize that. Like Zen is alone. Like, that Zen, he's alone. I think even focusing him down solo with Cole might be a good idea here. Like, if we're not gonna get kills, like why shouldn't you know? Force trance, you know, it's really good for us because we're only trading a Cole for a trance and a Valk. They donate pulse bomb as well, but they're gonna get it back soon because we're staying around a lot. It's whatever, right? That happens. What's up, Trace? Oh, yeah. This happened. That's... I don't know what to say. Unlucky. Yeah, look at that. Nice. Nice, nice. See, when we want to get kills, we can get them. Thing is, do we want to get kills, or do we want to stand around? Because we see how option 2 is working for us, so why not try option 1? Like, I understand what you're probably thinking too, is like, how can we just go for kills forehead when they're pumping so much damage into us? Well, the point is, the longer we take to get a kills, the more damage we're going to take from these folks over here. Like, look at what we're doing here. That's like really, really good. We grab for it, which is a little strange, and we don't kill the target that we wanted to, which is a little strange. But hey, like, we still got kills. Like, we're doing it. This is good. But like, reducing the time of engagement is what we need to do. Getting our Reinhardt and Rosaria and our Reaper into position where we can jump on their Sig really, really hard. The longer we take to kill him is the longer they have to apply damage to us, which is our sort of damage problem. Provided they play this well, they might actually be able to peel for their Sig a little bit and get some good picks onto you. If that's the case, and like you want to play that way, like then we can maybe start splitting and trying to deal with some of the individual members if we can take them. But I think at a fundamental level, Sig and Zen have to go. It's non-negotiable. So there's only one reason I can think of that they landed a flux here. It's that we aren't going out and going to kill them. I understand. Yep. Sort of playing on point with shield. This is a good position for us, except on the Moira. Okay, we have a lot of different ideas here. Okay. So ball is spinning on point, which is obnoxious. I get it. But why play so far up if we're not going to get them? We're not a poke comp. It's not like we can just like laser this guy down or something. We have to get up in their face to get anything done. That's the identity of our comps. So we all start retreating towards left side, which is pretty good. Shield is low. I think that would have been an acceptable time to shatter as well, as they're getting more aggressive. This is a really so close. Stinks. This is a mid fight. This is certainly something that happens in time and space. Trance, so they're gonna be sustaining. That's pretty much their I want to exist for X amount of seconds button. Now we've got to think about what can we do. Can we kill somebody through trance? The answer, no. There's a damage boosted cloned Reaper approaching us, farming ult on our Reinhardt. So maybe the better thing to do here isn't looking for kills, but looking to speed out. I think a bit of this falls on our team play as Ryan and Lucio, as husband and wife, as two players grouped together functionally in holy matrimony, like as the Ryan Lucio Zarya. Like, we just have to stick together. And besides the fact that we have to stick together, we have to be cognizant enough to recognize that this is what needs to happen. So we ample, we're in the air, that's perfectly fine. We need to speed so we can back. Like, at this point, when I play Lucio personally, I do it a lot of the time to fill in sort of the gaps of information that my tanks may need. Like, they might think we can kill somebody. That's not the case because I see that we have trance. We need to run, I think, because they cloned a Reaper and they're hard sort of re-engaging, which is going to be really hard to deal with. So because that's the case, I think we need to come back. And saying like, we need to back like Zar come back or Zar come left might be really helpful. As well, not while riding on the central pillar is preferable here because we're not going to kill anyone or really get a lot of damage off that matters besides ult charge. And do we need ult charge in this fight, or do we need to stay in it? That is the question. And the answer is we lose our shield and then we get clone Death Blossom. So I think really playing to sustain would have been a lot better by hanging back behind our Reinhardt. So like, we were here up top, then we came back a little bit, then we noticed we weren't wall riding and we probably started wall riding here just for the fun of it. I don't think that needs to happen. Like, need to think about the tank line first and what we need as a team. And because that's the case, we need to back here and just play from behind our team. There's not a lot of danger that we're in. I think we just need to boop Reaper when he comes because he's going to come and he needs booping. And then maybe we can think about a re-engage. Like maybe. That's if we survive, but we didn't survive, so it happens. Yeah, I think a lot of our playstyle is, I'm not sure if methodical is the right word yet. We do come up with plans and stuff like that, but I think a lot of our plans or a lot of our playstyle mid-fight when we don't have a plan is very passive. And I think we can stand to be a lot more aggressive. I say I think when I don't want to say the truth.
Ready for battle.
And we need to be more aggressive if we're going to run a dive comp. We call for a double shield comp here. Again, I think that might be weak into the comp that they run. I think Aris is good into ball, but we don't know how good Orisa is going to be in Zenyatta Echo Mercy. Certainly some food for thought. This guy misses his thing, which is whatever. I feel like we're not looking around. Because this is going to be a problem in 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Yep. Please, please, please make sure that like our tanks are looking forward because they're applying damage. Our supports, again, are probably going to be filling in the information that our tanks need to survive. Like the fact that there is a Doomfist right here. We don't know if we don't check. Like there's no reason. I don't see a world in which we can proceed with confidence and walk in hello render. Walk in this space without checking that the enemy isn't here in any way, shape, or form. When you see a Doom, it's pretty much like, oh, I think I'm dead. Lucky. But had we checked, we would have known at all, and we'd have been able to prepare. Thankfully, he doesn't find anyone else. Running sort of the soldier in a very off-angly playstyle. I like that. Soldier can, yep, on to point. This is just sort of the ebb and flow. Oh no, protect our soldier. I don't think Emma was the right play there. I also don't think peeking without Orisa was the right play there. I don't know if Orisa goes for health pack because we have Baptiste stealing right there. I think it's better to hang her like a piece of meat in front of you while Echo drools at the mouth for her. That stinks, but it makes sense.
Adaptive circuits engaged. Orisa.
That stinks. We have window. We need to get into a position where we can window, and that might be hard into the ball boots. We're saying we want a window around left side. I don't think the question is where, I think the question is when. So let's scout out a good spot to window. Good time to window. This is probably not a good time to window. And here Doomfist engaging, that's, yeah. Should be saving boots for that. That's okay. Okay, so next fight. Getting up here. Sir, yes sir. Also, I think a Brig would have been better than a Zen here. I mean maybe. Some higher level teams play Brig Zen with the double shield. Because they are just not taking enough damage to justify the Baptiste heals. That's an option here, but I don't think it's quite the solution. I think a lot of this is going to be ebb and flow. Let's see, as we see, so we window here. And I don't think this is a half bad window. Look at that, we force Trance, force Sigma out of position. This happens, so, I mean, it's like the 4th of July. And ball is being troublesome. We say to focus the ball, but I think focusing the ball in this situation loses us the fight. We need to focus Sig, or anyone else who isn't ball. Like, we have to consider the fact that ball is discorded, yes, and we can kill him, but a lot of ball is the value he provides by making you look away, right? A lot of us are looking and chasing and stuff, but the real source of damage, Sigma and Doomfist and stuff like that, are still existent on the front line.
Meteor strike.
And I must say, I'm glad that we're scrimming more plat teams, but this must be one of the most plat comps I've seen in quite a while. Their team only really played Widow, Mercy, Echo, which is obnoxious and kind of really weak. And then they also go with Doomfist, which can also be quite weak if the engages aren't very polished. And fortunately, they weren't. We just need to get in a better mindset to punish things. Like, again, like, I feel like a lot of the time we're not looking actively for threats. We're looking forwards. And you can see that here. Not really one of us is checking a lot of angles here. Specifically behind is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for behind because things like this happen. Just a second too late. Had we known, had we scouted a little more thoroughly earlier, this wouldn't have been a problem, I don't think. It's a little late on the trance there. But at least we got one. Let's see. Oh. Existing on point is sort of like being on stage. Everyone is looking at it. I think existing behind the Sig and creating problems for him would have been a little bit better of a plan, so he would have had to choose to look between either you or Baptiste. But you guys choose to honor his shield and get ball. It's not a particularly winnable situation, I don't think. Like, I can't say that I'm super optimistic about that, but... Oh. There you go. But... I still think that's something that we have to consider. Let's see. Played some games here. Maybe there's something I can do to shed light on how we should be playing. We're rolled. What did we play on Kings? Oh, no, we lost. Or that's from 2 days. I don't remember this map. Also during last patch, so not as helpful, but maybe helpful.
Now entering King's Row. Ready for battle.
Okay. It's going to be but in the name of sort of seeing how we want to play and executing based off of that, let's
Ready for battle.
what we got? Have a Junkrat Kree, we have Arya Hog, and have a
5, 4,
Brig
3,
Ana.
2.
So I think our comp is best described as brittle. It will not take much to break our front line, but we will still exist. Kind of like how when you break a tortilla chip, you get all the dust and all the little flakes. We sort of exist.
Attackers.
It's not gone.
Defend objective A.
That happens, that's unlucky. To decide how we want to play, idling is not the choice, I don't think. We have Farmer C, so things are gonna get rough. I want to find a map that I played Lucio on. That I can better shed some light on, like... Lucio is fantastic support for a lot of reasons, but mostly because he enables that brawl that plays like so well. Goodness, he's just so fun.
To Hollywood.
I think I might have played him.
Ready for battle.
I think I'd have to go on another account to look at other VODs and stuff like that, but yeah, when it comes to the comps that we want to play, we have to play them with a bit more conviction and a little bit more like knowledge, I think. Or not even knowledge. I think it's just conviction. I think we know what we need to do, we just need to get it done. Like we sort of end up playing our brawl like a double shield comp when we have point or when we're where we want to be. Um I don't know how the case that is for other things. I think I want to look at Lijiang at a time that isn't 6:43 in the morning. So I think for now I'll end my review. So overall, just some things to think about on this map is that we're like they gave a lot of its specific advice and tactile advice to supports and then DPS and then tanks. You can be more thorough with tanks, I guess, but it's my natural inclination to go for supports as a support coach and player myself. Um, but yeah, mostly when it comes to things like that, I think callouts from the support line need to be a little stronger when it comes to things like that. I think ultimate judgment is pretty good. I actually like a lot of what I'm seeing from Pog so far when it comes to using the ultimates and actually just using them and getting them out of the way. I think that's fantastic. I think we hold beat for a little too long, and we need to be a little bit more clear on identifying situations when we need it. Um, and yeah, I mean that's really just it. Those things will come with time. Yeah. So with that all said and done, thanks for watching. Hopefully this is helpful. And yeah, good morning and good night.